India and Canada ties have effectively been destroyed. Diplomats have been expelled and political trust has been wrecked after Canada named Indian diplomats as part of its investigation into attacks on pro-Khalistan activists in Canada. Both India's government and its people are furious. India's Ministry of External Affairs has launched its most direct attack on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his government for supporting Khalistani separatism and extremism. But there is a 10-year backstory to this whole crisis that explains exactly why India is so angry at Trudeau and why its relationship with Canada is down in the dumps. On this episode of Threadbare, we tell you about the story of the India-Canada relationship under Trudeau. We're also going to talk about how 10 years of mismanagement by Canada has led to this diplomatic crisis. So let's start in 2015. That's when Justin Trudeau became Canada's Prime Minister after winning the 2015 general election. Now, he came to office after a successful visit by Prime Minister Modi earlier in that year. Over the last decade, Canada's previous Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, had pushed for a stronger relationship with India. Remember that for a long time, Canada was one of India's biggest critics on the world stage because of India's nuclear weapons program. But after years of difficulty, Stephen Harper started to turn things around. In 2010, Harper helped start talks on a free trade agreement with India. He also signed a nuclear cooperation agreement in 2015, where Canada agreed to sell uranium to India. Harper also made 2011 the year of India in Canada. And of course, as I mentioned, Prime Minister Modi made a big visit to Canada in 2015 that showcased the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship. So it's safe to say that Justin Trudeau inherited a strong bilateral relationship with India. And during his election campaign, Trudeau's Liberal Party called for closer trade ties with India, but not much else was known on his policy towards New Delhi. However, pretty soon it became clear that India just wasn't a big priority for Trudeau. Experts point out that talks on a bilateral free trade agreement between India and Canada, which had been started during Harper's tenure, slowed down once Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister. The allegation was that Canada had essentially put the relationship with India on autopilot. Finally, in 2018, Justin Trudeau made a visit to India. But experts pointed out that this happened only because his efforts to work more closely with China didn't work out. His 2018 visit to India, though, was a disaster from start to finish. For example, there was the Jaspal Atwal controversy. Atwal was a man who was convicted of trying to kill an Indian cabinet minister in Canada in 1986. And he received an invite for a dinner from the Canadian High Commission in honor of Justin Trudeau. Atwal was a prominent part of the pro-Khalistan movement in Canada, and subsequently he became a prominent supporter of Trudeau's Liberal Party, which was presumably why he was invited to this reception in honor of the Trudeaus in the first place. Now, this invite soon became public. It was quickly cancelled with an apology put out, but it caused significant anger in India. The issue of Khalistan ended up overshadowing the broader agenda of this visit. That is also because Trudeau's government got sucked into a political controversy with then Punjab Chief Minister Narendra Singh. Singh had earlier called out Hardeep Singh Nijjar, Trudeau's defense minister, for being a Khalistani sympathizer. He had also criticized Trudeau's government for not doing enough to fight Khalistani extremist groups in Canada. In fact, things were so bad that Narendra Singh reportedly refused to let Justin Trudeau's plane land in Amritsar until he agreed to meet the Punjab Chief Minister to discuss the Khalistan issue. So all in all, not a great visit. But one decent thing did come out of it. India and Canada agreed to work together on a joint framework to fight terrorism. Canada also mentioned pro-Khalistan terror groups like the Babbar Khalsa International for the first time in its joint framework for terrorism with India. That led to hope that Canada was looking to change its soft on Khalistan terror image. But that wasn't to be. According to reports, in 2018, Canada released a public safety report identifying Khalistani extremism as a threat to public safety. But soon, pressure began to pour in from several groups sympathetic to the Khalistan movement in Canada, who began to decry this move. These groups are extremely politically influential and active in Trudeau's Liberal Party. Eventually, because of this pressure, Trudeau's government caved, and in the next version of the report, all mention of Khalistan or Sikh extremism was removed entirely. Indian officials were deeply disappointed by this backtracking. Things got even worse between India and Canada in 2020, when Justin Trudeau made comments on the farm law protests that were taking place in India at the time. India shot back at this interference. In fact, the Indian government actually blamed Trudeau for encouraging gatherings of extremists in front of the Indian High Commission as well as other consulates in Canada. In 2021, Trudeau's Liberal Party lost its majority in the Canadian House of Commons, and it formed an alliance with Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the New Democratic Party. Now, Singh has actually spoken at pro-Khalistan rallies in the past and even refused to condemn Talwinder Singh Parmar, the mastermind of the 1985 Air India bombing, which saw Khalistani extremists kill over 300 people. Now, after much public criticism, Singh did in fact come out and criticize Parman. Jagmeet Singh has been a relentless critic of the current Indian government, and his support for Justin Trudeau further alienated India and Canada. While the relationship on things like defense and trade continued to grow, political tensions were always there somewhere. In 2023, India launched a manhunt to capture the extremist Amritpal Singh. This led to internet shutdowns across the state of Punjab by authorities in India. Jagmeet Singh came out and condemned these draconian measures, which only added to the tensions between India and Canada. These measures by Indian authorities also led to protests against India's High Commission in Canada and the alleged use of smoke grenades against its diplomatic missions. Pro-Khalistan groups also aired propaganda glorifying the attack. They also aired propaganda attacking specific Indian diplomats like High Commissioner Sanjay Verma for the death of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a pro-Khalistan extremist who had been killed in Canada in June 2023. These attacks on its diplomats angered Delhi, which felt that Canada was not discharging its obligations to keep its diplomats safe. Angered by this lack of action by Canadian authorities, Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar in fact attacked Canada for practicing vote bank politics. But Canada's government thought that there was something to the allegations made by various Khalistani groups on Nijjar's death. In September 2023, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau publicly accused Indian government officials of involvement in the plot to kill Hardeep Singh Nijjar. It did not provide India with specific evidence of its allegations, and that led to various tensions and the withdrawal of several Canadian diplomats from India. From trade to immigration, the entire India-Canada relationship ground to a halt. And now, after a full year of fighting in 2024, a fresh series of allegations have wrecked the relationship. Canadian authorities have linked no less than Home Minister Amit Shah and other top Indian officials to a systematic plot to threaten and kill pro-Khalistan figures on Canadian soil. India has in fact now withdrawn its High Commissioner from Canada and has also expelled Canada's top diplomats in India. It has also totally dismissed Canada's allegations as an attempt to smear India. In an extraordinary statement released on Monday, the Indian Ministry of External Affairs slammed Justin Trudeau personally for years of interference in Indian politics and for supporting what New Delhi sees as an anti-India agenda. This was an extremely direct and vehement attack on a foreign leader, which is almost totally unprecedented in India's foreign policy. Here's just a short look from what India said yesterday. Prime Minister Trudeau's hostility to India has long been in evidence. In 2018, his visit to India, which is aimed at currying favor with the vote bank, rebounded to his discomfort. His cabinet has included individuals who have openly associated with an extremist and separatist agenda regarding India. His naked interference in Indian internal politics in December 2020 showed how far he was willing to go in this regard. That his government was dependent on a political party whose leader openly espouses a separatist ideology vis-a-vis India only aggravated matters. Under criticism for turning a blind eye to foreign interference in Canadian politics, his government has deliberately brought in India in an attempt to mitigate the damage. So there we have it. The relationship between India and Canada, built carefully over the last few decades, is in tatters, and things are unlikely to recover for the foreseeable future. And it all boils down to how Justin Trudeau's government in Canada has systematically and totally mishandled its relationship with India. The consequences are clear to see. Thank you so much for watching Threadbare with me, Shashank Matu. You can catch me again on India Today Global next week.